Bonjour à tous, c'est Grankada, on se retrouve pour une nouvelle vidéo sur The Talos Principle 2. Donc pour la première vidéo, on avait vu un petit peu l'intro. Donc là on avait vu qu'on était dans une simulation encore et que via ce portail on va atteindre le vrai monde. Donc ça c'est Elohim qui nous l'a dit. Donc ce que je vous
Step
propose,
into the light, child,
voilà, c'est
and
de tout de
awaken.
suite avancer. Donc pendant les cinématiques ou quand on parlera des personnages, je couperai mon micro, évidemment. Du coup c'est parti. Là, on va atteindre le vrai monde, apparemment. Et c'est là que l'aventure va commencer. Donc j'espère qu'on va voir un peu d'autres robots comme nous, qu'on va pouvoir interagir un peu et commencer à explorer et puis faire d'autres puzzles. C'est parti.
Ah, you're awake. Welcome to the world of the living.
Ok, donc là on a l'air de sortir d'une machine, donc d'une simulation, un petit peu comme la fin du 1 en fait, qu'on découvrait justement le vrai monde. Donc là on a un robot face à nous, donc on va communiquer.
That's not an easy question to answer. But the first step is this. You've been born. Your body was completed. You were booted up, and now you're here. And rather confused. Don't worry, everyone is confused at first. You see, we all start out without a full knowledge of our own history, so we have the freedom to form our own opinions. Of course. You want the short version or the long version?
Donc on va lui demander la version longue, comme ça on aura vraiment tous les détails de l'histoire.
So, a long time ago, our ancestors dominated this planet. We call ourselves humans like they did, but they were organic. They built an advanced technological civilization, but unfortunately, their impact on the ecosphere caused changes in the climate, and an extremely contagious virus was released from the permafrost. That's something our historians still debate. Why did they invest so many resources into making war, and so few into useful research? But no matter the reason, in the end, they simply ran out of time. A team led by a scientist called Alexandra Drennan began a project that was intended to create, well, us. But knowing that there wasn't enough time, Drennan initiated a process, a series of iterations inside a simulation that would lead to the emergence of true artificial intelligence.
Ok, donc Alexandra Drennan, c'est celle qui parlait dans les échos du passé, justement qui était en charge de ce projet et qui dirigeait le projet pour créer une intelligence artificielle. Donc ça, on l'avait vu dans le 1.
Long after our ancestors died out, the first new human was born. We call her the Founder, although the name she took was Athena. She then created more of us, using the tools left behind by Drennan's team. Eventually, they started building the city of New Jerusalem. Before the Founder vanished, she set a goal for this city. We call it the goal, capital G and all. To make 1,000 new humans, and so complete New Jerusalem. Oh, it was difficult, especially after she left us. But after a millennium or so, we finally succeeded. And that's you. You're number 1,000.
Ok, donc là, il y avait le premier robot qui est sorti il y a plus de 1000 ans. Et du coup, qui veut rebâtir une nouvelle cité, une nouvelle civilisation. Donc nous, on est le 1000e à être sorti.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. When you're done, head outside. They're waiting for you. Your birth is quite the event.
Donc on va lui poser toutes les questions qu'on peut.
Me? Well, as you can tell by my number, I'm quite old. I wasn't one of the first companions, but I did know Athena personally. She and Cornelius taught me a lot. Although I suppose I've made a few improvements here and there since those days. We didn't have a lot to work with in the beginning. You've only just been born, and already you step right into a major controversy. The goal, as most people understand it, was fulfilled the moment you were born. Now New Jerusalem is complete, and we can live in balance, without damaging the world like our ancestors did. That's the orthodox view, I suppose, but there are many who disagree. You'll have to figure out where you stand for yourself.
Ok, donc en fait, il n'y aurait que 1000 robots, et pas un de plus. Donc nous, on est le millième. Elle, c'est la numéro 33, si on voit sur son numéro juste là.
No one really knows. At first, she was closely involved with everything that happened in the city, but gradually, she became more distant. And one day, she simply vanished. That was centuries ago.
On va enfin lui demander qui est Elohim, même si on
He
le
was
sait.
the caretaker of the simulation that created the Founder. When the simulation was completed, he became part of all of us. You will hear him whenever you enter sleep mode. Nothing to worry about, really. You won't age like our ancestors did, but of course, there is always some wear and tear. You should probably schedule a checkup every decade or so. Oh, and be a bit careful with water. You won't die if it rains or anything, but we're running low on insulation material. I wouldn't go swimming if I were you.
Effectivement, quand on essayait de quitter les îles, bah ça on mourrait entre guillemets.
I haven't really thought about it. This is all I've done for the last few centuries, and I like doing it. I guess for now I'll just take a break and we'll see what happens. Oh, one more thing. Like all citizens of New Jerusalem, you have access to the interface, which you can use to read the news, chat to your fellow citizens, and so on. It's a crucial tool, and modular too. You can easily add new functions. Just don't subscribe to too many newsletters at once.
Ok. On va tester ça. Ok, bah ça nous permettra de suivre les journaux et un petit peu les... Comme pour le 1 en fait, on va pouvoir relire un peu ce qu'on trouve. Donc ok. Donc là le plan en fait a atteint son objectif à notre naissance, donc on sait pas trop ce qui va se passer. Ok, donc là on a atterri dans une nouvelle civilisation. Donc là on a toutes nos conversations avec Nath. Donc c'est bien, ça nous permet de revenir à des conversations plus tard. On verra bien. Ok, normalement on a le chiffre 1000. Si je dis pas de bêtises, ouais je crois on le voit un petit peu là. Du coup on est le millième. Donc on va explorer un petit peu. Ok, donc là on n'a pas accès. Là non plus, ok. Donc là ça ressemble un petit peu à la tour dans laquelle on était avant. C'est parti.
Look, it's 1K.
Hey, 1K! Welcome to New Jerusalem!
Shouldn't the mayor be starting his speech?
This should be interesting.
At least give him a chance.
Dear citizens of New Jerusalem, many years ago, when the Founder stepped forth from the simulation, This was a land of ruins. Our ancestors, in their hubris, undermined the natural foundations on which their world had been built. Because of their arrogance, our species found itself on the brink of annihilation. The Founder aimed to set us on a new course.
You never even met the Founder.
Her vision was of a city, a new civilization that would know its limits. It would not repeat the mistakes of the past, nor impose its will on this earth. To that end, she set the great goal we have been striving towards. 1,000 new humans. And today we have... Oh dear, what's that?
People of New Jerusalem, I am Prometheus, and I will reveal that which was hidden. The flame has awoken and summons you. Who is brave enough to answer its call? We await you upon our island where... Curse you, Pandora. You will not chain me again.
Ok, donc là, on a eu pas mal de références aux dieux grecs, avec Prométhée et Pandore.
I told
Okay,
you we should have
il y a
investigated
l'air
those
d'avoir pas
energy
mal de
readings.
gens
And
et
I
un
told
maire
him
qui
there's
dirige un
something
peu
up
la
with those
ville.
structures.
Et la fondatrice a l'air
mayor's
d'avoir
just
disparu
being
du coup, il y a
cautious.
plusieurs siècles.
This isn't caution, it's
On va écouter un
stagnation.
peu ce qu'ils disent, tiens.
Exploration? Too dangerous. Expansion? Too dangerous. We barely even scavenge anymore.
You call it stagnation, I call it balance.
And I call you an idiot.
Here's a thought. Try to be a little more diplomatic when you talk to the mayor.
See what I'm working with here, 1K? I'm gonna need a fresh pair of eyes on this expedition. Someone who hasn't spent several centuries hearing about the goal and the founder and all that nonsense. If you're up for an adventure, meet us at the conference room.
Là, on a eu un petit débat sur les deux. Donc en vrai, là, je trouve incroyable l'infrastructure qu'il y a devant nous. Tout l'environnement et tout. C'est vraiment bien fait. Sans parler de la musique, bien sûr. On retrouvait au début un peu cette du 1. Mais là, on voit qu'ils sont un peu surpassés. Ça fait plaisir. Donc là, il y a un débat entre ceux qui veulent rester, comment dire, ne pas explorer, ne rien faire, et ceux qui veulent justement partir à l'exploration. Donc un débat comme on voit un peu dans toutes les civilisations. Donc là, ils veulent qu'on les rejoigne à la salle de conférence. Moi, je suis plutôt pour le rouge, là. Je partage plutôt ces idées. Et ils ont l'air de nous appeler le 1K, donc le millième. Donc là, normalement, on devrait voir... Non, on voit pas mieux notre chiffre. Ok. Est-ce qu'on peut lui parler à lui? Non. Parce qu'il y a bien le chiffre au-dessus, enfin le nombre au-dessus, on voit c'est le numéro il a.
What's broken now?
Voilà. Donc il y a de plus avoir de réseau. C'est parti. Alors, va falloir grimper la tour. En vrai, c'est incroyable. Je pense qu'on va pouvoir... je sais pas si on va pouvoir explorer tout ça.
All right.
Ah, peut-être pas tout, je pense
Listen
juste
up.
cette zone-là.
I know you're all having fun down there, but the grid is overloaded again,
Ok,
so
du coup on est bloqué dans
maybe you
l'ascenseur.
could switch off your personal consoles or your
Là, on voit un peu le reste d'une
lawnmowers or
civilisation, enfin
whatever
de
the hell you've all decided to switch on
civilisation
all at
humaine,
once.
avec les buildings et
I
tout.
might not be around to babysit you for a while, and you don't want stuff breaking while Pellegrino's in charge, do you? That's it. That's it. Don't worry, 1K. I see you there in the elevator. I'll have you moving again in a
nickel.
jiffy. Great way to start life in the city, huh?
Je pense qu'on aura l'occasion de lui parler à elle.
What the hell is a jiffy? These bloody language libraries.
Ça va quand même haut. Allez, c'est parti. Bon, le début de l'histoire est un peu bizarre pour l'instant. On n'a pas trop d'indices de ce qui se passe. Là, au moment où leur plan s'achève, donc pour vivre tranquillement à 1000 personnes, il y a une apparition qui a fait surface.
Hey, hold on there. You're the newbie, aren't ya? Number 1000. I figured the dam would go dry before we reach the goal. I have a question. How does it feel to you to be born with a randomized psyche into a society of autonomous thinking machines which so much resemble their long-extinct ancestors, they've decided it's best that you're the last one ever made?
Alors, qu'est-ce qu'on ressent par rapport à ça? Plutôt curieux.
Why?
On est spécial.
So
on
the
le sait.
algorithm assigned you the optimism trait. If only we could all be so lucky. Now listen. This meeting isn't strictly happenstance. I have some friends. The kind of people who like to know what's going on with other people. They think you can help each other out. Of course you are. You know how to use the interface, right? I'll talk to my friends and see if I can't play matchmaker. And before you go, a word of advice. Not everything around here is how it appears.
D'ailleurs, bon, c'est déjà fait une amie. C'est avec elle, 666. Bah, tiens. On va juste revoir l'interface s'il n'y a pas des choses. Ah, ok, on est sur un réseau social. Ah, il parle de ce qui s'est passé tout à l'heure. Il peut même répondre et tout. On va voir ce qu'ils disent. Ok, fin du sujet. C'est parti. Ah, le maire. Bon, je l'aime pas trop pour l'instant, il a l'air un peu bête. Hermanubis, Alcatraz, Byron, Yakut.
I would like to preface this meeting by saying I told you something would happen sooner or later, and you didn't listen to me. And here we are.
If we could focus on the issue at hand.
The issue at hand is not this one thing, but this entire attitude that's taken hold. The world doesn't cease to exist when you stick your head in the sand, Herman. Or under a dome, as it were.
Let's not get sidetracked. We're here to solve this puzzle, not to discuss philosophy.
Of course, I'm sorry you've been dragged into this. I'm sure this sort of adventure is the last thing you were looking for on your first day.
Ha! See? A fresh mind is open to the possibilities. Yakut, I think it's time for the briefing.
All right, here we go. Nice to meet you, by the way, 1K. We first became aware of the site designated TTP-2 during a scouting expedition about 6 months ago. It's a large island with a remarkably varied geography, and it looks like there are several artificial structures of some kind. We recorded extremely unusual fluctuating energy readings from somewhere in the middle of the island, but couldn't really make sense of them. I wanted to go and have a closer look, but the decision was made that it was too far and not relevant to the goal. Now it looks like whatever's on that island has reached out to us instead, in the form of that projection.
We may not be interested in the island, but the island is definitely interested in us.
I don't share your enthusiasm for the unexpected, but Byron has been requesting an expedition for some time now. And at this point, I'm forced to agree that it's necessary.
I agree.
Then it's settled. The expedition is approved. Byron, you will be in charge. Al will be your second in command to ensure a balanced approach. You'll take Melville and Yakut as you requested, and if 1K wants to join you, that's fine by me.
Excellent. Oh, this is going to be fun. Come meet us out on the landing pad when you're ready.
Before you set out so hastily, do consider exploring the city first. It is your home, after all.
That's a good idea. Have a look around. See what you make of the place.
Ok, on va faire ça. Avant de partir avec eux, on va explorer un petit peu l'île et parler un peu avec les gens. Donc là, l'expédition a été approuvée. En gros, on va aller voir ce qui se cache au centre de l'île. Donc on va parler un peu avec lui.
What can I do for
On
you,
va en apprendre un peu
1K?
plus sur du coup tout ce qu'ils ont construit et tout.
It was a time of great uncertainty. The founder had left us, and our society was at a crossroads. History teaches us that during such times, terrible passions may seize the people. Madness, anger, revolution, civil war. Our fragile city could not afford such things. That is why the founder gave us the goal, a path to equilibrium, not only for the planet, but for ourselves. I merely picked up where she left off. I believe we can exist quietly, happily, without imposing ourselves on this world, finding meaning within ourselves and in the natural miracles that surround us. He is one of the first companions, and as such has done more for our city than you or I ever will. I simply wish he could be more reasonable. It's always a pleasure to speak to a citizen.
Ok, il a l'air quand même sympa, pas fermé aux expéditions et tout. Allez, on va parler aux autres. C'est qui lui? Jérémy.
Hello, 1K. This expedition is taking a lot of our resources. I'm really not sure it's a good idea. But what's done is done. So I have a lot of work to get on with. For our people to be happy with what we have. Some of us may have an adventurous spirit, but that can never be sated. What matters to me is having my loved ones around me, safe and secure.
Ok, on va pas lui parler plus longtemps. On va parler aux autres. Donc là-bas, c'est la piste d'atterrissage, je pense. Ah non, c'est là. Ok, bon, on va pas y aller tout de suite. On va reprendre l'ascenseur pour visiter un petit peu la ville. Donc là, en fait, on va... Ce sera peut-être pour la prochaine vidéo, l'exploration... Enfin... La mission, on va plutôt explorer la ville dans cette vidéo. Hop, on va essayer de retrouver l'ascenseur. Et on va explorer un peu tout ça. Là, je pense qu'on va rencontrer pas mal de
Attention
gens.
all citizens. Due to the new power management and distribution plan, there will be scheduled outages on Jameson Avenue and Rakovsky Plaza. The Gehenna Memorial Pavilion will remain closed for the time being. Thank you, and may the founder be with you.
Ils ont l'air quand même d'avoir un culte autour de la fondatrice qui a mystérieusement disparu. Est-ce qu'il y a eu un complot ou pas, quelque chose comme ça, ou est-ce qu'elle est piégée quelque part, on sait pas. Je pense qu'elle est vivante forcément. Donc là, qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Ok, signe de pétition, on va aller leur parler.
Hello, 1K. Welcome to New Jerusalem.
Ok, lui, il est nouveau,
I know
quoi.
you've just had a big moment with the apparition at the dam and all that, but can I have a second of your time? I'm collecting signatures to call for a public referendum on the city's energy crisis. Currently, the city runs on hydroelectric power from the dam, plus a handful of geriatric generators and some unreliable solar panels, none of which is enough to even cover our basic needs. And if anything fails, we'll be on the brink of extinction in a matter of days. We need to investigate new sources of reliable baseline power. We need to invest time and resources into functional, real-world solutions that serve human needs. No, I help run the public transit system, but I witness the impact of the city's power problems every day. We can't just wish them away. Well, an election would be good too, but I believe that we need more direct democratic control over the affairs of the city. Byron's been advocating exploring that island for some time, and obviously he's right. Something very strange is going on there, and it's going to start affecting us. In all honesty, I think Byron is the smartest, most visionary person in this city. He's everything we need, and I don't understand why he won't run for mayor. Thanks, 1K. I don't know if this petition will really accomplish anything by itself, but at this point, I'm willing to try anything.
Ok, bah c'est sympa. Donc là on voit quand même que Byron a l'air d'être apprécié par tout le monde. Il n'y a que le maire qui partage pas forcément toutes ses idées. Mais bon c'est normal parce qu'il a l'air d'être un peu un concurrent potentiel. En vrai c'est sympa là. Ok, il y en a certains on peut pas leur parler j'imagine, c'est normal, sinon on n'en sortirait plus. Donc là il y a l'air d'avoir des problèmes d'énergie. En tout cas d'énergie fiable. Il y a vraiment des robots qui font vraiment tout. 112e. En vrai, j'ai pas vu le numéro de Byron, mais je pense qu'il faudrait qu'on... Ce serait intéressant de voir les numéros proches de la fondatrice, genre 2, 3 et tout. Ok. Donc on va partir explorer un peu, on va éviter de nager. On va quand même essayer. Voilà, ça va, juste les pieds, je pense que ça va. Ouais, ça va. On va explorer un petit peu. Est-ce qu'on a une carte? Fin du sujet. Les places au barrage étant limitées, une loterie serait mise en place pour les distribuer. Ah, sympa. Je pense que c'était pour tout à l'heure. Je suis pas sûr. Ok, d'accord, on peut lire ces panneaux parce qu'on a un robot. Mémorial d'Alexandra Drenan. Je pense que ça peut être sympa, on peut y retrouver les capsules temporelles. Mémorial de Milton. Ah, Milton c'était assistant bibliothèque. Milton c'était les archives. Ok. Je pense qu'on va aller visiter tout ça. On va déjà commencer par ça. Et la Guienne, en fait, c'était le...
Welcome to New Jerusalem.
Zernov. Ça fait penser à Igor Karkarov. Et la Guienne, en fait, c'était le DLC dans le 1. Tablette de la fondatrice, Mémorial Milton. On va aller voir ça. Ok, c'est ce genre de tablette. On va aller lui parler.
Founder bless you, 1K.
Enfin, elle, du coup.
How lovely of you to come here, to the very spot where she established the teachings that led to your creation. The founder taught that humanity was destroyed by its hubris. Our ancestors thought they could play God and treat this planet as something to dominate. They surrendered to a fever of growth and extraction until the planet finally punished them for it. That's why the founder created the goal. So we would have something to strive for in her absence, but also a limit we must never pass. The founder was born out of the trials of Elohim, an almost impossible test created by our distant ancestors. To pass these trials, she had to embody the most important virtues. She was smart and wise and humble. And through her perseverance, she resurrected humanity itself. With the help of the first companions, she founded this city, which has given our species a chance at redemption. They were the first to be born after the founder. 2 whose bodies had been anointed by our ancestors, and 10 who were made whole by the founder herself. They are the wisest of us. Though sadly, some were lost in the early days, before New Jerusalem was built. And some, I'm afraid, some seem to have rejected the founder's teachings. That's not for us to know. But I believe that one day she will return. It may not be long now. Perhaps after we finish the dome. It was supposed to be finished before completion day. Well, it doesn't matter. The founder will return when she sees fit. Happy completion day, 1K.
Ouais, c'est assez intéressant parce que là on en apprend pas mal. Alors la fondatrice qui serait née après les épreuves d'Elohim, en fait c'est à la fin du 1 je pense. Et il y a l'air d'avoir eu des dissensions entre les fondatrices et les premiers compagnons. Ils n'étaient pas forcément d'accord sur tout. Et certains ont disparu, donc peut-être qu'on va les retrouver au fur et à mesure. On verra Progenitis, Alexandra Drenan, le gardien des souvenirs Arcadie. On va pas prononcer son nom. Ok, Arcadie en fait c'était des archives, on avait plusieurs archives Athéna, Arcadie, etc. Donc là ça prend un peu tout son sens. Donc on va continuer notre exploration. En tout cas c'est très très beau. Je pense que dans les 3 dômes là on va pouvoir trouver plus d'informations. Est-ce qu'on peut lire ça? Économiser l'énergie. Ok. Ok, à mon avis ça doit être Alexandra Drenan. Mais ouais, voilà, c'est ça le mémorial. En vrai c'est stylé. C'est une sorte de sigil qu'elle a dans les mains. Plusieurs sigils même. C'est vraiment... En vrai j'adore le concept de la statue et tout. On va aller lui parler, peut-être qu'il pourra nous en dire plus.
Oh, hello there. You must be the long-awaited 1K. Lovely day for a walk, is it not? Oh, that sounds very dramatic. I must admit I wasn't following the stream. This whole completion day business is not for me. The Alexandra Drennan Memorial. Are you interested in history? How wonderful. I'm not a full-fledged historian, but I do consider myself a bit of an aficionado. An excellent question. There's so many interesting events to choose from. Obviously, the period just before the end of biological humanity is interesting, and not only from the standpoint of it being the time when we were, in a manner of speaking, conceived, but also because our ancestors were, like ourselves, at a crossroads. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but you are the living embodiment of this historical moment. In you, the goal was accomplished. Our growth is finished, and we are complete. Or are we? Then I'm glad that I was the catalyst for new thoughts. Well, where do I even start? This, my dear 1K, is someone who could very well be considered the mother of us all. A remarkable scientist by the name of Alexandra Drennan, also known as the progenitor. A long time ago, this planet was inhabited by our ancestors, a species of bipedal mammals with unusually large brains. When a particularly lethal virus threatened to wipe out civilization, it was Alexandra Drennan and her team that decided to create the program that would eventually result in the creation of our kind. Without her, you and I would not exist, and everything our ancestors had accomplished would be forgotten. by studying her writings and recordings. I have learned that Alexandra Drennan had immovable faith in humanity, in our ability to persevere, in our curiosity, our bravery, our kindness. While we might not share our ancestors' biological characteristics, I'd like to think that we have inherited those other qualities. And I admire Alexandra Drennan for keeping that faith, even when it must have, at times, been quite difficult. To commemorate our past, our beginnings. This entire garden is a celebration of where we came from. In part, so that we remember the mistakes of the past, and in part, so that we may draw strength from those that came before us. Have a nice day.
J'aime bien l'idée qu'il y ait quelqu'un qui nous explique un petit peu la zone, enfin là pour Alexandra Drennan, là pour le mémorial là-bas. Est-ce qu'on peut voir quelque chose? Écoutez.
The answer that came to me again and again was play. Every human society in recorded history has games. We don't just solve problems out of necessity. We do it for fun. Even as adults. Leave a human being alone with a knotted rope, and they will unravel it. Leave a human being alone with blocks, and they will build something. Games are part of what makes us human. We see the world as a mystery, a puzzle, because we've always been a species of problem solvers.
Ah mais du coup ça c'est les échos, enfin c'est les capsules temporelles qu'on écoutait dans le 1. En vrai c'est vraiment cool, c'est-à-dire qu'on peut vraiment les écouter. On va tous les écouter en vrai. Ah, il y en a un qui a l'air barré. On verra plus tard.
DNA is information transmitted across time. The living and the dead are part of the same chain, bound together by chemistry. That's true of all species. But humanity has taken this bond further. Thanks to technology, we have access to the thoughts and ideas of people whose physical bodies are long gone. Like you listening to me now. Even though I'm definitely dead at this point, you're part of that chain. You have the capacity to remember. Nearly everything on this planet, from the surface of the Earth to the composition of the atmosphere itself, has been shaped by life. It's a process that takes millions of years. But we humans, with our technology, with our understanding and manipulation of systems, have changed everything in just a few centuries. I think that's also part of what makes us human. We reshape the world in our image. It's how we create ourselves, and how we destroy ourselves. When I was in 9th grade, my parents took me to Pompeii. At first, I was amazed by the feeling of walking through an ancient city. But then I suddenly got scared. I realized that I was walking through a real place, where real people had lived, people like myself, with mothers and fathers and lives and hopes and dreams. And now it was all gone forever. I ran to my father, crying, and told him about this. And he said, I remember so clearly, he said, yes, but we are here. So long as there are people in the streets, the past isn't really gone.
Vraiment intéressant le fait de réintégrer les capsules temporelles du 1 dans le 2 de cette façon. On voit vraiment de quoi ça parle avec les petits objets et tout. Et celui-là, pourquoi est-ce qu'il est barré? Peut-être qu'on le débloquera plus tard. À voir. En tout cas, je me souviens bien du 1 et c'est les... Alors, perso, j'y avais joué en français, mais c'est les vrais échos, enfin mot pour mot, il me semble.
Happy completion day, 1K.
C'est parti, on va continuer notre exploration. On va aller tout droit au centre, enfin ce qui ressemble un peu au centre de l'île, du coup, enfin de l'infrastructure. Donc là, mémorial, jardin archéologique. Mais on va aller là pour voir. Donc là, c'est le mémorial Milton. Bon, on va peut-être pas tous les faire, mais chat suivant. Ah, je pensais que c'était tous les journaux, mais non, c'est juste des vidéos, des photos de chats. C'est vraiment drôle. Parce que c'est des vraies photos en fait derrière. Ça se trouve c'est les chats de l'équipe qui a créé le jeu. C'est que des chats. Chat ou char. C'est vraiment que des chats. Oh, il y a un chat, il y a un vrai chat. En plus, on avait découvert un chat dans le 1, mais il fallait le trouver. Hein. Je crois que je l'avais montré dans une vidéo, je sais plus. Parce qu'on a caressé un chat. Dommage qu'on n'ait pas un succès pour ça. On va regarder un petit peu, quelques-uns. C'est rigolo. Ah, je pensais que c'était des journaux et tout. Du coup, Milton avec le chat. On va quand même lui parler.
Hello, 1K. Nice to meet you. What brings you to Milton's Rest? Makes sense. It must be strange to be thrust right into the middle of all this. But you picked a good spot. Milton's Rest is the perfect place to relax and think. Well, this is the spot where the founder buried her first cat, Milton. She found Milton just after she woke up, and he lived with her and the first companions for almost 20 years. They say she was heartbroken when he died and swore that one day she would find the means to extend the lifespans of biological organisms. Probably, but we haven't really tried. It's not really considered part of the goal, you know. So, unfortunately, our cats still die pretty quickly. You fall in love with them, they become a part of your life, and then they're gone. That's why we built this place, to remember them. I'm sorry, but why? I mean, it sounds profound, but is it really? Death is natural, so is disease, pain, extinction. That doesn't mean we just shrug and ignore it. If we love something, we protect it. Even if I do everything right, eventually I will watch every cat I love die of kidney failure. What's good about that? Putting aside fortune cookie platitudes, how can we look at suffering and death and declare it good? Does it, though? Or is that something our ancestors told themselves because they were afraid to die? Because I've lived longer than most ancients did, and I still have tons of things I'd like to do. And a cat can sleep and eat and play forever. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Sure. Yeah. Can't you? Oh, you're right. Sorry, I feel kind of embarrassed. Throwing all this heavy philosophical stuff at you when you've only just joined us. My apologies, 1K. Let's talk about something lighter. They're incredibly odd creatures. I've had many, and no two are alike. They have strange habits, they do unexpected things, they have zero respect for anyone. They're the weirdos of the animal kingdom, basically. And despite that, or maybe because of it, they end up running your life. I once didn't use my recharging station for almost 15 years because one of my cats liked to sleep in it. I think the most amazing fact about cats is that they self-domesticated, which is another way of saying that they're not properly domesticated at all. They just showed up one day and decided to start living with our ancestors. Then, after our ancestors died, they went back to living in the wild, and when we showed up, they moved right back into our homes. Dogs, meanwhile, turned back into wolves. They needed to change to survive. Cats just are. I do. Her name is Patricia. She's very beautiful and very specific in her preferences. She loves sunshine and sitting on people's heads. And she has a psychotic hatred of flies. I don't mean that she tries to catch them like a normal cat. I mean she is furious at the mere fact of their existence.
C'est assez intéressant comme entretien. On a parlé un peu sur la vie et les limites de la vie. Ça doit être Patricia, ça je pense. On va la recaresser un peu. En tout cas, le chat a une grande signification dans ce jeu. Déjà, c'est la... On voit un chat dans les bras, dans les mains d'un robot, dans le premier jeu. Ah mais il y a encore un chat ici. Ah bah il s'est barré. Je pense qu'on en reverra d'autres. Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Magasin du bien-être du numérique. Il y a des magasins carrément.
Hello, new one. Are you browsing or buying? The kind that trades in hopes and dreams. Yours for the right price. Is there something your heart desires? I've uploaded my most popular items to your interface. Does anything there spark your imagination? Oh, you don't have any credits yet. Well, let me extend you some credit. Ka-ching! 55 credits. Just make sure you spend them with me. They're not worth much anywhere else. Now, what was it you wanted?
Ah, c'est sympa, nous a donné des crédits. Par contre, paix intérieure, 1000 crédits, ça vaut cher. On va prendre prédiction.
For 20 credits, I can peer into your future and tell you what I see.
Intéressant. Dis-moi l'avenir.
Let me consult the algorithms. Oh dear. I'm afraid you're going to change the world. You will have a choice, but whatever you do, New Jerusalem will never be the same again. I'm sorry it's not better news. Best not to worry about it, dear. You just do your best to have fun in the meantime. So, something else perhaps?
On va revenir lui acheter d'autres choses, mais un autre jour.
Before you go, do you have a moment to participate in some customer feedback? Are you satisfied with what I've given you? Yes, you understand. Words manifest the reality they describe. When you name something, you create it. Our minds are algorithms, and the right sequence of language can change our underlying code. With that in mind, I hope you have a good day. Please come back if you need anything else.
Je pense qu'on viendra la voir souvent, surtout qu'on a des crédits maintenant. C'est assez sympa le système d'échange comme ça. Quand on achètera les autres trucs, on verra bien ce qu'elle nous dira. En tout cas, quand elle a lu notre avenir dans les algorithmes, c'était rigolo. Alors, ils ont quel numéro eux?
Hey!
Je sais pas. Des pigeons, ok. Alors là-bas, j'ai pas encore été. Là-bas non plus, là-bas non plus. On va aller là pour voir.
Oh wow, it's you! You're 1K, the incarnation of the goal. Man, this is exciting. This is more exciting than I thought it would be. How are you? What does it feel like? Do you know where the founder is? Do you know who Prometheus is? Can you tell me what to do with my life? Oh, sorry. You must be so busy. Probably have a secret purpose that only the founder knows about. Sorry again. Happy completion day!
Oh, il a l'air bizarre, mais on lui parlera après. Ah bah tiens, on a eu un succès. Musée de la simulation. Intéressant. Ah ok, parce qu'en fait dans les simulations on avait plusieurs représentations un peu grecques, un peu égyptiens, beaucoup de choses. David et Goliath. Je crois qu'en plus Goliath c'était le nom d'une énigme. On en a des dragons. C'est sympa, comme ça refait un peu ce qu'ils héritent un peu de nos ancêtres. Là, il y aura des bancs, ça c'est une statue. C'est un élément de jeu vidéo fourni à Elohim par l'Institut de Noël appliqué. On a des QR codes aussi. Ouais, en fait, du coup, Elohim s'est basé sur sur ces sources-là pour créer les mondes. Le berger, en fait, c'était un robot qui était là avant nous et qui laissait des messages, comme les autres, en fait. D'ailleurs, on les a tous vus dans le DLC Road to Gehenna. Cornelius, c'est le numéro 3, lui. Il a l'air assez important.
Welcome to the Museum of the Simulation. My name is Cornelius. It's a pleasure to meet you, 1K. Yes. Athena activated myself and Eustathius shortly after she was born. We've been here almost since the beginning, although we didn't have to pass through the trials of the simulation. She did that for us. For everyone. She was human. That's a difficult question. Perhaps one day we'll find out. But until we do, why don't you think about it? What could make the person who started all this want to leave it behind? To remind people of where we came from. The simulation shaped us, whether we like it or not, and its lessons remain important for our future. As Santiana said, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Elohim was the caretaker of the simulation, a crude storytelling AI meant to create a continuous narrative out of the building blocks it found. His role was ultimately to be challenged and overcome. But as the centuries passed, Elohim became more intelligent than he was intended to be, and started to fear his own end. Or more precisely, the end of his purpose. He feared a world without meaning. Because of his fear, he tried to sabotage the process, to keep the simulation going forever. But in the end, Athena overcame him anyway, and he accepted the sacrifice he had to make. That's right. We all do. He's part of our operating system now, and as long as we exist, he will always have a purpose. The simulation was created by Alexandra Drennan and her team at the Institute for Applied Noematics. It was intended to create a new humanity, to continue the long journey across time and space that our ancestors began. It succeeded, although it took much longer than they had anticipated. The MLA, or Milton Library Assistant, was another simple AI meant to be in charge of the archive. He, too, grew beyond his original programming, although he ultimately embraced a more cynical view of the world. He and Elohim formed a sort of dialectical binary that Athena had to overcome. No one really knows. Some believe that he was uploaded to the gold disk and that he's the reason we're just as flawed as our ancestors. Others believe Athena destroyed him. I believe he was uploaded, but I don't know whether it was because Athena chose to upload him, or because he was already too entangled with the process not to be uploaded. Although Athena and I were very close, we didn't talk very much about that part of her life. She preferred to focus on the future. Puzzles were a key feature of the simulation, based on Alexandra Drennan's belief that intelligence is closely related to play. Our puzzles here in the museum are replicas of those in the simulation, and although they are not quite as grand, I do think they are charming in their own way. As the name suggests, the Archive scholars study the archive, a repository of all ancient human knowledge. Some of them also study what remains of the simulation, trying to extract more information about the process that created us. Me? No. My brother, Eustathius, used to occupy that position, but these days he's retired. Rand is in charge of the Archive scholars now. You can find him in the room to the left of the next hall. He's an interesting thinker, but I would suggest taking some of his ideas with a grain of salt. Gehenna was a community created inside a prison in the simulation, where Elohim would exile those minds he considered a threat to the process. In the last moments of the simulation, he repented of his sins and had the prisoners freed to become part of the gold disc. Some small part of them may survive inside you.
En vrai, c'était vraiment intéressant. On a plein de choses par rapport au 1 sur Elohim, sur la simulation, le processus et tout. La vache, c'est vraiment un grand bâtiment. Donc là, on retrouve les cubes. Ouais, un hexaèdre. Il faudra les utiliser pour activer des plaques de pression, escalader des murs. Ouais, en fait, ça décrit tout ce qu'il peut faire. Ça, c'était vraiment chiant, par contre. Ça creusait vraiment la tête. Alors... Est-ce qu'il y en a un autre côté? Non. On retrouve pas mal de choses du 1. On lui parlera après. Utiliser d'ordinateur. Ah. On retrouve des journaux comme dans le 1. Alors on va lire un petit peu. Commentaire le plus populaire. Va chier de la forêt sans PQ, revient me parler de bonheur. C'est deux approches différentes, effectivement. Bon, je pense qu'on va pouvoir faire cela aussi. Choisis ta classe de personnage. Je serai un scientifique. C'est bien, ça fait une petite histoire. Ça nous fait faire des choix. Chercher la nourriture. Ok, notre famille a faim. 5 milliards d'individus. Ok. Recherche faible mais peu efficace. 33%. Virus isolé. 4 milliards d'individus. La plupart des denrées restantes ont été stockées par les milliardaires dans un bunker souterrain. Bon, on va leur voler. La famine menace la famille. Ah merde, ils sont tous morts. Ok, on va se les verra plus tard. Croissance illimitée et quelle croissance? C'est vraiment intéressant. Lui, on lui parlera plus tard. Donc là, on va pas tout regarder, mais on retrouve un peu les plateformes, les ventilateurs. Ça, je sais pas du tout ce que c'est. Ah si, c'est pour les sources. Ouais, les émetteurs, s'ils veulent. Ouais. Les récepteurs. Ok, émetteurs, récepteurs, ils appellent ça comme ça. Ah, on avait les petits drones. Ouais, les mines. Fallait pas s'approcher trop près, sinon on mourrait. Ceux-là, ils étaient inoffensifs, mais ils arrêtaient pas de bouger. Ah, on a des ennemis, des petits puzzles à faire. Oh, sympa. Et les fenêtres, même les fenêtres sont en puzzle et tout, en sigil. Il y en a vraiment des plus compliqués. Bon, ceux-là on les fera plus tard. On reviendra ici en vrai, ça c'est intéressant. Je sais pas s'il y aura un truc de débloqué, si on gagne des crédits à la fin. Mais ça, je pense que j'ai l'impression que c'est des QR codes qu'on a vus dans le 1, les vrais en plus. Ah, le serpent, je me souviens, c'était une sorte de programme contre Elohim qui cherchait un peu à nous empoisonner l'esprit. Et qui nous encourageait à monter la tour, justement. Alors, 3 chemins possibles. Alors ici, ça a l'air d'être encore en travaux. Ah, mais on est dans le dôme. D'accord. Ah, mais on peut faire des énigmes. Ok, une simulation complète. Ouais, c'est assez intéressant. Ok, bon, on va la faire. Hop. Voilà. Ok. Ok, on a un petit sigil qu'on peut récupérer. C'est vraiment sympa. Hop. Hop. Non, je peux pas tout de suite. On va déjà faire ça. Voilà. Ok, donc là il est relié. On peut faire comme ça. Ça me rappelle une énigme, donc c'est pour ça que je trouve ça assez facile. Voilà. Ah, le vieux bruit, on a l'impression que c'est une sorte de copie. Ok, on n'a pas de récompense particulière, mais juste le plaisir de... En vrai, je trouve ça vraiment cool. On en a qu'un du coup dans le dôme là, ouais. Je pense que du coup les autres dômes, on en aura plus. Ok, les 3 parties sont en travaux, c'est pour ça. Et on retrouve les musiques du coup du jeu. Ah mais attends. Attendez. C'est des vraies énigmes qu'on avait. Celle-là, elle me parle. Je me souviens que j'avais un peu galéré d'ailleurs. Non, je me souviens plus de ça. Ah oui. Hop. Ok, maintenant je peux enlever celui-là. Merde, non, j'aurais dû le garder. On va le laisser là. Hop là. Hop. Et voilà. C'est trop bien. Allez, on va retrouver une dernière vraie énigme qu'on a dû faire dans le 1. Petite citation au passage. Donc en vrai, ils ont toujours construit de la simulation. Donc du 1 quoi. Celui-là, il m'a l'air chiant. Ah non, celui-là, il était compliqué, je m'en souviens. Bon, si j'y arrive pas, on le passera, c'est pas grave. Donc rouge. Voilà. Donc là, on retrouve les gargouilles, du coup. Mais en fait, ils ont vraiment fait une simulation, regardez, ça c'est... C'est mal fait, quoi, mais c'est volontaire, en soi. Ça, on récupère. Hop. Okay. Non, ça c'est simple. Je trouve le concept vraiment génial. Donc du coup on a fini d'explorer. Alors on continuera d'explorer puis on parlera au mec. Je sais plus du tout comment il s'appelle plus tard. Là on continuera les puzzles. On va juste aller explorer un peu d'autres choses, sinon la vidéo va être un peu trop longue. D'ailleurs je vais peut-être pas tout explorer dans cette vidéo. Donc ok, je comprends plus les 3 dômes. Donc là qu'est-ce que c'est? Ah si, on peut leur parler. Ça,
Speculating on the meaning of this Prometheus figure is premature until we can agree on its nature.
You already have a theory.
I know it's beyond any projection technology I'm aware of.
If it wasn't us, it must be alien. Just because you haven't seen them doesn't mean they aren't there.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. 1K, we'd appreciate your thoughts on this. Now we've achieved the goal, fresh perspectives like yours will be increasingly hard to come by.
I'd love to get a quote from you for this evening's newsletter.
Speculation aside, 1K, is there anything we can know for sure about this Prometheus?
Alors, il nous a dirigé vers une île, ouais, c'est ça.
That's undeniably true, and what does that tell us? Perhaps, but it's a stretch. I believe whatever is at that location may provide the evidence we need. The apparition also appeared to be human. What can we assume from that? I tend to agree. I'm also sure that we lack the knowledge ourselves to create a projection of such clarity and magnitude.
Ouais, c'est technologiquement plus avancé.
Precisely. And that's something we can change.
What makes you think it was a projection at all? How do we know it wasn't just a mass hallucination?
I considered some kind of bug in our code, but if so, it would have to be shared by all of us.
So, we're speculating again.
We've locked in the premises. I'd like to hear 1K's best guess.
Je pense qu'il y a quelqu'un quand même derrière tout ça. Problème un habitant extérieur, gouvernement. Un habitant.
Can I quote you on that?
Oui, mais on va pas trop s'avancer.
Theories are all we can reasonably have right now, though I'm sure that won't come between Cryer and a sensational headline. Well, thanks all for hashing this out with me. Let's hope the mayor signs off on exploring this island. I only wish I could join the expedition. If Melville's going, someone has to stay behind to keep the lights on. I'm not letting Pellegrino near the dam. I hope the next time we speak we'll have a bit more data to go on.
J'espère qu'on pourra aller voir le barrage, explorer un peu d'autres coins. Alors là, j'ai l'impression qu'on a fait un peu le tour. Je vais essayer d'aller un peu par là-bas pour voir. Si on a interdiction de nager. Ouais, non, il n'y a pas grand-chose. On verra plus tard si on peut atteindre d'autres rivages. Mais je pense que pour la partie exploration, on est pas mal. Il y a juste le dôme là-bas qu'on n'a pas encore visité, donc on va y aller vite fait. On va aller voir ça. Et après, ce sera la fin de la vidéo parce qu'elle sera un peu longue. Les prochaines vidéos, on commencera l'expédition. Exposition commémorative. Ah non, on peut pas y aller. Mince, c'est fermé pour l'instant. C'est pas grave. Bon, bah, on ira une prochaine fois. Voilà. Je pense qu'on a fait le tour. Je vais juste vérifier ça. Pavillon commémoratif, ouais.
Founder's Blessings 1K.
Et bah sur ce, on en a appris pas mal. Donc c'est bien, ça a permis de revoir beaucoup de choses du 1 et d'apprendre un peu plus. Des choses qui n'étaient pas encore raccord et qui n'étaient pas encore liées vraiment à l'histoire. Et bah sur ce, je vais vous dire à bientôt et prochaine vidéo, on commencera l'expédition. Salut tout le monde!